everybody. I don't know if anybody is on yet. I am Maranda Evans, and you guys seen me a few times. I wanted to do a tribute today. Today is March 14th, 2016, and it's a very hard day for me, but it's a very special day. Today is the anniversary of my father's homegoing. He died March 14th, 2004 from domestic violence. He was murdered by his girlfriend. My mom's gonna kill me for this, but this is my picture of him. This is my dad and my mom and me, the one with the big forehead. So yes, instead of being sad like I am most years, I decided that this year I was going to do something positive and a tribute to him as a way to stop domestic violence. As you can see, I have on my I Be Domestic Violence shirt. 10 blessings, 10,000 survivors. My sisters, who actually started this with, they got me going. Hey, Carissa! They got me going with this. I really didn't. I know, right? I really didn't voice my opinion and how I felt about my dad being a victim of domestic violence. I didn't really understand domestic violence when I was younger. He died when I was 11. And I knew what domestic violence was. I just didn't put two and two together and think, oh, my father is a victim of domestic violence. You know, I just used to always say, oh, well, his girlfriend murdered him. And so, when I joined 10 Blessings, 10K Survivors, I really, hey, Takitha! I love Takitha, y'all. She knows she has to be here to comfort me in case I start crying. So yeah, I started with them so that I can reach out and understand more what domestic violence means and the statistics of it and how it affects us. And it's really, it opened my eyes to a lot of things because I didn't realize how many people were suffering from domestic violence and how many women and children and even men were dying and being beaten and victims of domestic violence until I got with this organization. So this year I decided to do a tribute to him, just a background story on, I think he is, I can hear his voice now. That's my Mookie. He calls me Mookie. My whole dad's side of the family calls me Mookie. So, yeah, a little background story. On March 14, 2004, I was 11 years old. Those of you who have read my book know the story. But I was out on a day with my mom and my aunt. And I went to my grandmother's house and they, gave me kind of this look and the news was on and they were like, we have something to tell you. And I'm like, what's going on? And they were like, well, they think Randy was shot, at his house. And I'm, hey, Tamika. They was like, I think Randy was shot at his house. And I'm 11. So I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, they say his girlfriend did it. And I was like, okay, what? And I just kind of fell and just burst out in tears, and my grandpa grabbed me and he was like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, because at the time we didn't know if he was dead, we didn't know what was going on. It was kind of like just what the news was reporting. Nobody knew anything. So my mom went to the back room to call his sister to find out what was going on, if it was really him, and then we found out it was. And I just remember I just feeling helpless. Like, it was a piece of me had just, I can't even explain the feeling of losing a parent. It's like half of you is gone. It's pretty much like half of you is gone. And I'm not, my dad we weren't together all the time. He wasn't just, the best number one dad in the world, but we were still close and we were becoming closer and we were just starting to get our relationship where it needed to be. And then this happened and I knew this woman, like, she buy me clothes, buy me ice cream, buy me all these kinds of things. So that just goes to show you that the abuser can also, take the kids and use that to their advantage. Like, oh, I'm going to butter up his kids. She did my sister the same way. My sister's older than I have an older sister and a younger sister. And she did my older sister the same way. She would give her money and she would be nice to us. And, we thought she was just the best woman in the world. And the whole time, she's planning this murder of my father, and she would abuse him financially and emotionally. And people think, men aren't abused, like they're men. That's not true. It's really not true, especially one thing that kind of, I battle with sometimes is because society tells us that men aren't allowed to hit women, which is right. That of course that is still domestic violence. And if a man hits a woman, then that's just absolutely wrong. Like it's just unheard of. You shouldn't do that. But I feel it goes the same way. Women shouldn't hit men either, and men shouldn't be victims either. Just because they're men, and a lot of women, she's 5'5", he's 6 foot tall. She can't physically fight him, so she's gonna do everything in her power to get him without actually having to touch him, like murder. So since I can't fight you, since I can't physically one-on-one go at it with you, I'm just gonna shoot you. I'm just gonna go something that's bigger than you. I'm just gonna kill you. That's the best option that I have. And you built up, she built up a case pending before it even happened. She would say that, he was abusing her. And I can't believe that to be true, because I know from firsthand, my father is not an abuser. That's just not him. He didn't even believe in whoopings. That's why I liked being with him. He didn't believe in beating his kids. He didn't believe in none of that. No pops, no nothing. And my mom has never not once said anything about my dad abusing her, and they were together for years. So, I mean, that's just, I just can't, I can't put my head around that. And I didn't find this out until, it was crazy, a year ago. Well, when Trouble came out, my uncle, which is my dad's brother, he's a HPD officer. He came to me, and back in 2004, he wanted to reopen the case because the lady who murdered him, she was never arrested. She was never tried. She was never, no trial, no, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you do, none of that. None of that. She wasn't arrested. None of that. My mom wants to know how she can see the broadcast. Girl, I'll show you the video afterwards. So, she wasn't arrested. She was like nothing. This is exactly what happened. She is on okay, they pull up to the stop sign. Everybody knows, lately I've been posting pictures of me at a stop sign. And that's the stop sign that my father passed away at. He's trying to leave. He was set up by two women. He's trying to leave. The woman whose house he was going to called his abuser and said, oh, he's on his way to my house. She says, oh, can I go with you? He says, no, you can't go with me. And she says, no, I'm going to go with you. And he says, no, you can't. So he starts to leave, and he drives to the stop sign. And thank you, Therese. Help your cousin, please. So she starts to leave, and this lady is crazy, y'all, I'm telling you. She jumps in the bed of the truck. Like, just while it was moving, she just hopped in the bed of the truck. And so it's a cul-de-sac. So he pulls to the stop sign, and he's like, is she serious? So he gets, and mind you, I'm not there, but this is me analyzing the situation in my head based off of what people tell me and just common sense. And so he gets out the truck like, this lady gotta be crazy. So, he like, come on, Sheila. Her name's Sheila. He's like, come on, Sheila, get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. What are you doing? We ain't got time for this. Can you just go so I can keep going with my life? Whatever. So the way, and see, this is how the justice system is just screwed. Because the way they played it is, her story was, okay, he came at me, he got my gun from me, and I fought him, got the gun back, hit him with the gun, and then when he got up, I shot him. Like that, so that's how she played the story. Like, he attacked me, took my gun, I attacked him back, and then got the gun from him and then killed him. So first of all, how do you, in the bed of a truck, all this happened in the bed of a truck. Like, I want y'all to just really think about that and, like, seriously, comment, tell me, does that make sense? Does that make sense at all? I don't feel like that makes sense. And so this is how I knew she was lying. And this is why I don't like the justice system now. So I get the autopsy report. And as a very intelligent person, I know how to read an autopsy report. I'm reading the autopsy report, and it says that the bullet, from the way that the bullet went into my father's body, it went directly down. It went straight down. So instead of, if my father is 6 foot and she's 5, that means if she shoots him in the chest, it's gonna go up and then down. But the bullet went down as if she was over him. So he either had to been on his knees begging for his life, or he was still on the ground. This is what but the justice system knew this. They knew this. This is an autopsy report. If I can figure that out, and I'm only 23 years old and I have an accounting degree, why can't you figure that out? But no, this is what happened. The cops drove to the scene. Oh, he just another dead black man. That's it. He got a gold tooth. He got flashy clothes on. He has a big belt buckle. He's a cowboy. He was born in Madisonville. He's not a drug dealer. He's not a gangster. He's not a thug. He's a cowboy. Like, you stereotyped him just that fast. You walked up, you saw a black guy and a crying black woman, and you automatically assumed that the black guy did something to her, so she had to kill him in self-defense. Yeah, isn't that something a jury should have decided? I mean, that's my personal opinion. You should have still arrested her. No, she didn't get arrested. And so, I mean, there's no justice for my father. And, I forgive her. I have seen her at church in person, and she stared right at me. I stared right at her. I didn't kill her. I didn't hurt her. I didn't do anything to her because I forgive her, because I've prayed about it and I've moved on, and I've become a better person. But honestly, it hurts me more that he didn't get justice. Like, she's just out just living life and moving on, and there was never any justice. So, that part kind of still hangs on with me a little bit. But, I've learned to just overcome it and just, keep going and don't let it hinder me, because she will get justice from somebody else. And it's not going to be nice. So, even though our justice system fails us, God does not fail us when it comes to judgment. So she will get judged for what she did. And hopefully she has repented and she will be forgiven for her sins. But it's not for me to take her down. As much as I wanted to, I reopened the case and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this to myself. I'm going to let God do what he's supposed to do. This is not for me. If it was meant for her to be going to jail and tried by the justice system, then it would have happened in 2004. But it didn't. So I'm going to leave this to him. So that's one thing. That's just the background story. But, I want to touch on the effects that it has from a child's perspective, losing a parent. And I touch with Crystal Hamilton. I don't know if you guys know about Crystal Hamilton, the woman that recently died in Prince William County. As a victim of domestic violence. The officer died too, but Crystal Hamilton has a son, and he's 11 years old. And so I read this story over and over and over and over, and it was like, this little boy just lost his mother to something that could have been prevented. Like, something that could have been prevented. That somehow, some way, that could have been prevented. Because it's just like we have many resources for domestic violence. 10 Blessings, 10K Survivors is definitely one. Please visit 10blessings.org. Let me pause and say that real quick. 10blessings.org, you guguys. Please go check out our new website. I'm excited. Natasha's here! Okay, so I just got really excited. My founder is here. So yes, please visit 10blessings.org. But, she has a son. She has an 11-year-old son who just lost his mother to domestic violence, and he actually witnessed this happening. And it's, I didn't witness it, but it happened around the corner from my grandmother's house. And it's worse when you have to look at it and when you have to see it happening, because there's so many effects of things that are going to go on in this little boy's life. He's going to carry that with him for the rest of his life. No matter where he goes or what happens, it's always going to be there. Not even from a standpoint of my mom died from domestic violence at the hands of my father, and I don't have a mother. So, he's going to have problems, PTSD, he's going to have depression, he's going to have to talk about it, he's going to have to do all these things, he's going to have to go through therapy. These are things that I've done, so I know that these are the things he's going to have to do. And as it's okay class, oh, okay. So, these are things that he's going to have to do these things. And it really screwed up my life. Not having a father was probably one of the worst things that happened to me. And it doesn't help that I lost all of my father figures in my family. So I didn't have any male role model except for one grandfather who just recently passed away. So, it's just women. There's no men, there's no male role model, there's nobody to say he's not right for you. And that goes into relationships. Because when I'm gonna speak from a woman's standpoint, as a daughter, when you don't have that father affirmation and your dad is telling you, even if he's not in the picture, it's not just when he's dead, even when he's not in the picture, when you don't have that father affirmation telling you, you are beautiful, you are smart, you can do this, you can do that. You know, these are the men that are good for you. Or if you have a bad man, he gonna tell you, no, he ain't right. No, I don't like you for my daughter. Like, you know, you don't have that in your life. So it becomes difficult because my mom couldn't do everything. Like, she couldn't, as much as she tried to do mommy and daddy, she couldn't do it. It's just not the same. It's not the same. You know, even to this day, I'm 23 years old. And the first thing I think, aside from, you know, let me pray, let me take a minute, is I really wish I could just sit in my father's lap or just cry on his shoulder. Like, it's just that simple. Just to have somebody to rub you and tell you, daughter, baby, it's going to be okay. And I think about that all the time. I just need that comfort. But I don't have it. So I've learned to adjust to not having that. But one of the mistakes I made when I was a child was, you know, I looked for that in men. Or I want y'all to see my shirt with my thing on. You know, I looked for that love in men. And it was bad. It was really bad. And I never found it. It put me through much more pain, depression. I've tried to kill myself a few times when I was younger. I was raped at 16, molested for 2 years. So it was like since 2004, everything just went downhill from there. I was lost. I was angry. I didn't like anybody. I didn't care what anybody had to say. I didn't have any respect for anybody. Any male role model or anybody that tried to, you're not my daddy. That was the only thing I could think. I did my stepdaddy like that. I don't like you. You're not my daddy. I used to tell him that all the time. I didn't accept him because I just lost my father. I don't have a father means I don't have anything. So I don't care about anything. And that's how I felt. So that's how children feel when they're missing their parent, especially when somebody takes them away from them like that. It's like for your dad to have to kill your mother and you have to live with that. That's a hard thing to live with. So, you know, if you're a victim of domestic violence and you have children, please, 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 I beg of you, please get help. Just, you know, and sometimes it's like you say, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your kids. But you really have to do it for yourself first. Because if you don't do it for yourself, you're not going to do it for nobody else. Like, you know, self-love is first. If you don't care about yourself, you don't care about anybody else. And, you know, it's really important that you know that this isn't something that'll affect your kids long term. This is not just, oh, well, I'm going to tell them, you know, that's not good or go hide in the room. No, they can hear. Kids are like sponges. They pick up, they hear everything. And they carry that, especially young boys. They think that's okay. They think it's okay to be treated that way. I think I was having a conversation with an older lady. And she asked me, she was like, well, you know, how do you find a man when you have kids? Like, you know, how do you teach your boys not to grow up to be that man or that guy that abuses women? I said, well, for one, you teach them what's wrong and what's right. And as you're teaching them, you have to actually practice what you preach. So if you tell them it's not okay to hit women and it's not okay to abuse people, and then you backdoor and let somebody abuse you in front of them, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to take you seriously. So I told her, I said, you teach them right. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. If you train up a child the correct way, according to the word, then they won't stray from it. You pray that they don't stray from it. And then not only do you teach them, you show them this is the way. This is what you do. You give them good examples to live up to. You don't have abuse and negativity in the household and they looking at that like, oh, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. Because that's all they know. They're going to end up being, like the phrase, I'm a product of my environment. Like, really think about that. Like, really think about that quote. I was up all night the other day really thinking about this quote. Being a product of your environment. So if you're in a bad environment, you're going to end up with a bad product. You don't want your child to be an abuser. You have to break the cycle. You don't want them to grow up thinking that's okay. Well, my mama got beat, so it must be okay to beat women. No, it's not okay. And you have to teach them that it's not okay. So, you know, going back to being a victim of it, especially fatal domestic violence, it's kind of tough because if I didn't have 10 blessings and Natasha, I would still probably to this day wouldn't know as much about domestic violence as I do. And all the things that I talk about are inner feelings, but they're brought out by their stories, because these are women who've actually faced domestic violence, who's been there and who've, conquered it and are survivors of it. And sometimes, I just sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just so empowering. It's empowering, especially as a young woman. I'm 23 years old and I'm surrounded by all these wonderful women. Like, I don't think people understand how that feels, and they motivate me and they're just inspiring. And, they taught me a lot about my true story. Because, like I said before, all I kept saying was my father was killed by his girlfriend. My father was killed by his girlfriend. When really, he was a victim of domestic violence. And there's so many other victims of domestic violence out there. There's so many other children that are suffering from domestic violence. Women, men, children. Everybody is a victim in the situation. Don't ever think for 1 second that it's just you. No, it's not just you. You are suffering, and I really hate the stories that I have to stop myself from getting mad sometimes for reading these stories. And I'm like, how do people do this? Like, how is this okay? Why are people not saying anything? Why are you not speaking up? Like, stop the violence. I don't understand. It's not that hard. I know. I'm starting to get like Natasha. Natasha gets really angry and it's just, why? There's so many people out here who are fighting for so many different things, but like, fight for domestic violence. I don't understand. This is not okay. And it doesn't get enough. The thing I hate is it doesn't get enough media attention. Somebody has to die in order for somebody to realize that women out here getting beat, men out here getting beat, children are out here suffering from domestic violence. Somebody had to die for somebody to bring that to the news. It shouldn't get that far. It really should not get that far. This is something that should be stopped beforehand. This is something that should be prevented. Awareness. We got to speak more. It's a struggle with October is Breast Cancer Month and domestic violence awareness. So, it's always a battle between the two. Not really a battle, but they share the same month, but I always see more breast cancer awareness than I do domestic violence awareness. I honestly don't see that much domestic violence awareness as I should be seeing. So I'm only one person, and I can't stop as much as I would like to, and I can't help all the children that are suffering just like me. I really want to go console Crystal Hamilton's 11-year-old son and just tell him it's going to be okay. Because that's what he needs. He needs somebody that understands how he feels and understands the role that he's about. He needs somebody to tell him, stop. Don't travel this way. Go the other way, because this is the wrong direction. And I wish I could just go and just grab all these children and comfort all these children. And I can't do it all at one time, but I will do it eventually. And it will get done no matter what. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to conquer what my purpose is. I'm going to conquer what my father will want me to do. And this is what he wants. So this is my tribute to him, that I'm going to stop the violence. 10 Blessings is going to stop the violence. Our partner organization is going to stop the violence. You can stop the violence. There's plenty of things that you can do to stop the violence. You can partner with us. You can find the nearest shelter. You can anything. Just reach out. You can pray. Always pray. Because before I go to bed every night, I pray for every domestic violence sufferer, everybody that's suffering from violence, period. The world violence. So, there's things that you can do to help stop domestic violence. And this is my message. This is my tribute to my father, because he was a victim of domestic violence. And it just happened so fast. My nail lady, as y'all can see, my nails are purple. They kind of change colors with the light, but they're purple. And my nail lady, she was like, why are you getting purple? I said, domestic violence. She said, it's domestic violence month? I said, no, it's not till October. She said, so why are you getting purple now? I said, because it's always domestic violence awareness for me. It doesn't have to be October. It could be any month. And I said, I'll be back next month to get my teal for sexual abuse awareness. So that's why. Yes, I have purple. No, it doesn't have to be October. Yes, I have on an IBDV shirt, and I expect everybody on watching this Periscope to get one from 10blessings.org. We also have other ones that says Real Men Love and Protect. They are wonderful. I suggest you get one. Yes, every 9 seconds, someone is a victim of domestic violence. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men. it's like, and 3 to 4 million children, like a year. 3 to 4, right now there are 3 to 4 million children out there suffering from domestic violence. And, if you know anybody or if you are in this situation, please reach out to us. Seriously, like, this is a PSA. I'm calling, hopefully this will spread and it'll get around, but if you or anybody you know is a victim of domestic violence, please visit 10blessings.org. Reach out to me, Natasha Brown, Takitha Wilson, Tamika Smith, Caressa J, Chatty Patty DC, Kenna Hodges, Kiana Wallace, everybody. Just, we are all people that you can reach out to. We're all on social media. We can all be contacted. I'm actually going to post a list of the shelters for all the main cities in Texas, and my sisters have lists of shelters for all the cities, DMV area. If you guys want to post some, comment some or whatever, or the phone numbers to Family Crisis Center and the Prince William County Center and all that, they have all the resources for that. So, this is just the beginning. These are just things that this is just the beginning. And like I said, normally March 14th is a really hard day for me, because even leading up to March 14th, my attitude is bad. I start snapping on people. I get road rage. Like, I pretty much just have to sit in the house because I can't respond to humanity. I'm just out of it. Like, no, I want my daddy. I still feel like that little 11-year-old girl. No matter how old I get, I'm still going to feel like that little girl who wants her father. I just learned to turn it into something positive and to realize that it happened for a purpose. It happened for a reason. And I'm supposed to use this in my story because it can help somebody. And any chance I get to help somebody, I'm going to take it. And Mom used to always tell me when I was younger, she was like, Miranda, you know what your biggest problem is? I said, what? She said, you care too much about other people than you do about yourself. Which was true. I put everybody before me. Always have. It's just I said I was born with like protective syndrome, because everybody has always been more important than Miranda. If I had a chance to help somebody else, I'm going to do it. No matter if I'm suffering, it's always about other people. No, I have to give this. I have to help this. I have to do this. But the thing that I've learned to realize as I grow older is if I don't help myself, I can't help anybody. So you have to make sure that you're, well within yourself, and that you love yourself, and that you forgive the people who have harmed you before you go out and teach people forgiveness. You can't teach forgiveness and not forgive the people who hurt you. You have to help yourself first. So, I did have to get help. I did have to talk to somebody. I did have to talk to a therapist. I still go to therapy. These are all things that I do. It's continuing. It's not going to, stop. As I'm building other people, I'm building myself. And it helps me to know that I'm helping somebody. When I see somebody and they say, I read your story and I read your message and you helping so many young women and you touched me, you inspire me, all that just makes me smile. It just makes me happy, because this is what God wanted me to do. This is my happiness. At 23 years old, I could be out at the club, everybody laugh and call me a grandma because I don't go nowhere. I really don't do anything. Like, I have no life. I have no relationship. I have no life. I don't go out in club. I really don't I'm an introvert. I don't like people. I don't like going to the crowded packed clubs and, getting drunk and do all that. No, I'd rather sit at home and read a book, preferably 10 Blessings of Betrayal or Too Precious to Be, because them like my favorite books of all time. Takitha Wilson, Too Precious to Be, and 10 Blessings of Betrayal, Natasha Brown. I've read that book like I don't know how many times. So I would rather sit in the house and read a book or write my next book while y'all go out and party y'all life away. No, that's not, because when I turn 30, I don't plan on working. Like, that's gonna be it for me. The only thing I plan on doing is philanthropy. By that age, I plan on having enough money to where I can change lives and I can really go out there and do what I want. And I was telling my sisters in the chat, it's so much stuff I want to do, but my dreams are bigger than my pockets. But, even if I start now while I don't have anything, just imagine what I can do when I do have something. And God will provide me with the things I need to get his message through. So, I don't worry about that. And I'm going to use every last resource and dime that I have to make sure that I'm doing what makes me happy and what I'm supposed to do to make other people happy. So I'm done ranting, y'all. I felt much better. I'm really glad I decided to do this because, like I said, this is a really hard day for me normally. I'm just, it's hard. It really is. But this is actually good. I think I'm going to do this every year. I know he will be proud of me for standing up, and he always did tell me I had a big mouth. So I know he would be happy. I know he's probably laughing and smiling right now. But please, guys, fight for your family and fight for your children. And if you are in this situation, please get help because your children are affected. They really are. And if something is to happen to you, it's gonna follow them the whole. Even if if you get out of it, they still have to get therapy. Like I like when Takita tells her story about her son. She had a son when she was in that situation. They still have to get therapy. You have to talk to them. You can't just get out of the situation and then that's it. No, there's work to be done afterwards because you have to not only build yourself up, but you have to build them up as well. Especially because they're so young and they're so fragile and they absorb everything. So, make sure that's another thing that you do. Therapy, talk to somebody, get help, get out of the situation, find a shelter, find some organization like 10 Blessings or any organization in your area. These are things that you have to do to stop domestic violence. IBDV, everybody hashtag IBDV, break free, 10 Blessings, 10,000 survivors. Follow 10 Blessings Inc. on Instagram and Twitter. Follow Trouble the Book. Yes, Trouble the Book, the Trouble Movement. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you guys go now because I need to rest. I try to move. I've been moving around all day trying to, keep myself moving so I won't sit down and start crying or something. But the night has ended for me. Like I said, it's 8:30. I'm about to write and go to sleep. And once again, this is my daddy. I love you, daddy. This is for you. Don't he look just like me? Don't I look like that? Look at them lips. I look just like him. Oh. Mwah. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, stop domestic violence. Stop the violence, release the silence. And everybody, I hope this, helps someone. I hope someone can be helped by my story. And I know my father is proud. Thank you to everybody who's watching, to all my 10 Blessings sisters. They always got my back. And don't forget IBDV and domestic violence. Get your shirt on 10blessings.org. All right. Thank you. Everybody have a nice night. Bye.